We'd been rowing for hours, at least since midday, but it didn't feel like we were making much progress. And now the sun was setting behind us, leaving us shrouded in darkness and the looming threat of a storm. Lightning flashed over our heads, sending jagged spider webbing across the darkening sky. And then the rain began, large drops that hit the surface of the water, sending ripples out around the boat, cooling and calming me from the oppressive heat of the day. I felt exposed, vulnerable. I turned to Roman, my guide, whose face was taut, eyes squinting against the elements, pulling his jacket tight around him. He dipped his paddle into the water, pulling us away from the bank. We had to get out of here before the storm hit. The Danube was wide here, slow and silent beneath the endless sky. It was late at night when we finally found a place to set up camp on a small, lonely island, surrounded by willows that seemed to whisper in the wind. The tents went up quickly, a reassuring routine in the growing darkness, and soon we were inside, eating dinner by the light of our headlamps, discussing the day and making plans for the next. Then suddenly, without warning, Roman sat up straighter, his eyes fixed on something outside the tent. A low growl rumbled in his throat, urgent and sharp. He grabbed his paddle, pushing aside the canvas. I followed him, shivering as the cold night air hit me. Above, the clouds had become a swirling mass of black, obscuring the stars and promising a violent storm. Below, the Danube was an inky void mirroring the churning sky. I couldn't see anything. Then I heard it again, a strange noise that seemed to come from all around us. Roman raised his hand, palm out, stopping me from moving forward. He nodded towards the trees at the edge of the island, his expression grave. Slowly, he began to move, pushing aside the branches that scraped at his jacket and hat. The noise grew louder, more distinct. My heart pounded against my ribs as I followed him deeper into the trees, listening intently to the sound, trying to make sense of it. The others emerged from their tents, drawn by Roman's urgency, their faces etched with concern and confusion. I could feel the tension coiling in my stomach, squeezing tight. And then we stopped. In front of us, the trees had formed a natural amphitheater, framing a space that was both familiar and strange. There, in the middle of the clearing, stood a circle of standing stones, silent witnesses to countless seasons come and gone. I knew this sight, or at least I thought I did. We had passed it earlier in the day, marveling at its age, its historical significance. But now it was cloaked in shadows, the stone seeming to loom larger, more imposing than before. And it was then that we heard it again, the sound that had brought us here. It was a melody, haunting and beautiful, played on an instrument unlike any I had ever heard. It filled the clearing, weaving between the ancient stones, echoing through the trees. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, weaving a tapestry of sound that was both captivating and unsettling. As the music swelled around us, I saw it. A young woman stepped out from behind one of the stones, her silhouette outlined against the firelight that flickered behind her. She moved with an otherworldly grace, her body swaying to the rhythm of the music she played. Her hair was long and dark, cascading down her back like a waterfall. Her face was pale, almost translucent in the firelight, her features sharp and delicate. Her eyes, though, were the most striking thing about her, large and luminous, shining with an otherworldly glow. They seemed to hold ancient secrets, knowledge from a time beyond my understanding. The music continued, and with it, the woman began to dance. Her movements were fluid and precise, like a language both ancient and profound. She spun and leaped, her body a blur of motion, yet each movement was deliberate, intentional. As she danced, the music grew in intensity, reaching a crescendo that echoed through the clearing. Then, as suddenly as it began, it stopped. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by the sound of our own breathing. Slowly, hesitantly, I stepped forward, drawn to the dancing girl as if by some invisible force. The others followed, their faces a mixture of awe and apprehension. The woman remained motionless, her eyes fixed on some point beyond us. Finally, she spoke, her voice soft but clear, echoing with an otherworldly resonance. "Who are you?" she asked, her gaze intense, unwavering. "We are travelers," I replied, my voice barely a whisper. "We came upon your island and heard your music. We meant no intrusion, no disrespect." She tilted her head, considering us for a long moment. "Why do you seek me out?" she asked, her voice echoing the question in my mind. "What do you want from me?" I hesitated, unsure how to answer. The truth was, I wasn't sure why I had come. Perhaps it was the music, its haunting beauty drawing me to it like a moth to a flame. Perhaps it was the mystery of the dancing girl, her otherworldly grace and unearthly beauty, or maybe it was something else entirely, some deep, primal instinct that drew me to her, something that predated language, history, even memory itself. Before I could respond, a sudden commotion broke the spell. A loud crack echoed through the clearing as a branch snapped underfoot. One of our group had ventured too far, and now the girl's attention was diverted, her eyes flashing with anger. "Who is there?" she demanded, her voice ringing with power. "Show yourself." A figure emerged from the shadows, his face pale, his eyes wide with fear. It was one of our team. He had wandered off, drawn away from the campfire by some unseen force, and stumbled into the clearing unnoticed. The girl's gaze remained fixed on him, her expression unreadable. "You have trespassed," she said, her voice echoing the accusation in my mind. "You have invaded my sacred space. For that, you will pay the price." Before any of us could react, she raised her hand, and with a gesture that was both fluid and precise, she unleashed a blast of energy that struck the man. He cried out, clutching at his chest as if in pain. In an instant, she was at his side, her touch gentle, her expression softening. With a gesture, she dismissed us, her eyes flashing with power. She turned back to the injured man, her expression full of concern. As she tended to him, I couldn't help but wonder what kind of power she possessed and what kind of danger we had just escaped. When she was done, she turned back to us, her expression grave. "You must leave now," she said, her voice echoing the urgency in my mind. "You are not welcome here. If you stay, you will be in danger." She gestured to the injured man, who was still clutching at his chest, his face pale and drawn. "He has learned that lesson the hard way," she said, her voice low and dangerous. "Do not make the same mistake." We didn't need to be told twice. We turned and fled, running through the trees as fast as we could, the girl's warning echoing in our ears. Behind us, the ancient stones loomed like silent sentinels, guarding the secrets of the forest and a girl who danced among them. We made it back to the boat without another incident, and once we were on the water, I never looked back. I rowed with all my might, desperate to put as much distance between us and the island as possible. The storm had passed, leaving behind a sky full of stars and a sea that was as still and silent as if nothing had happened. But I couldn't shake the feeling that we had escaped something ancient and powerful that lurked in the heart of the forest, something that had welcomed us with music and dance, but had turned on us in an instant, showing us the true cost of trespassing on its sacred ground. And so we left the island and its secrets behind, forever changed by our encounter with the Willow woman, forever haunted by the memory of her haunting dance. The Danube flowed on, silent and ancient, carrying with it the secrets of the forest and the girl who guarded it. And somewhere deep in its heart, the willows whispered in the wind, their branches swaying to a tune only they could hear, a melody that was both beautiful and haunting, a song of the ancient ones, from the darkest depths of the primeval forest to the heart of a forgotten civilization. Join me as I explore the hidden corners of our world where the veil between reality and the unknown is at its thinnest. This is the Willows. Subscribe now and let's journey into the unknown together.